All right. Welcome to the show. Stay happy, healthy, and human. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching us. And I'm sitting down today from across town with a client. And really, this is our first time ever kind of meeting, I guess what you'd say face to face, even though this is face to face in 2020. So I'm here today with Katie. Katie, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. And so you've been a member of, we'll call it our gym for the sake of a long story, for really only a few months, but most of those months have not been in the gym.
No.
Have you actually even lifted in our building yet?
I have.
Okay.
So with Jeremy, who you know, I think we started doing some sessions there, I think back in January, maybe, or maybe it was even that.
Awesome. So you kind of came onto the scene, and Jeremy, like myself, we have clients of all different levels, interests, abilities, and I don't feel like it's a secret that oftentimes competitors tend to draw the attention of the group a little quicker, and you are just that. But I want to talk about kind of your backstory, how you got to lift, and then without saying too much too fast, you have a career, you have kids, you're a competitor, and so you kind of do it all. So I think that's awesome. And I know for a fact that you've already motivated and inspired a fair amount of people in our community. So that's what spawned me to have you on the show today.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, let's start out. Just tell me about yourself, like whether it's however far back you want to go, if you want to talk about growing up, where you're from, and then how did we get here?
Okay. So yeah, I'm from Michigan. Been here my whole life. I was not an athletic kid at all. I did gymnastics, but I wasn't very good at it. Did that through high school, and then I did diving, springboard diving. And I did that through college. I was a bit better at that, but still not like amazing or anything. So I stopped that after college, and then like a lot of former athletes, I think, you kind of struggle on how to stay active, especially once you enter the working world and start a family and everything. So I just kind of didn't do anything for a really long time. So it really wasn't until my 30s was when I actually got into fitness and made a habit of it, and it became my life. Not my life, but a big part of it.
I think that's awesome. I think so many people just assume, well, I can't do what Katie does because Katie obviously was born with gifts I don't have, and she's been doing it for so long. And I think people do that to make themselves feel better about themselves.
Well, and I think it's just self-doubt.
Yes.
Because I remember even when I was in my 20s, I was kind of like, I'm out of shape. I'm always going to be out of shape. This is just who I am genetically.
Yep.
And then I just kind of got fed up with it eventually. And I was like, I have to at least try to make a change. And it was when I started seeing those changes. So I started doing like high intensity interval training. That was kind of my gateway into fitness. The first time I was actually able to run a straight mile, I was like, whoa, I couldn't do that 6 months ago. That's amazing. I actually made progress. So once I actually saw some progress, it just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah, momentum. People underestimate momentum. But like you said, though, getting started is so hard. It's, you kind of think it's very easy to sink into the woe is me mentality and, well, I can never do that, or that's not realistic, or, I'm the way I am because of genetics. I can't change that.
No, you can definitely change it, because I do not have like amazing genetics at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's effort, commitment, and making it a habit. And,
I love that.
Yeah. And I think especially finding something that you love doing. Because, I would attempt to do something and I would stick with it for maybe like a month, and then I would lose interest. And I think with lifting, once I got started lifting, I loved it so much. It was just addicting. So like I wanted to do it. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I have to go to the gym. It was like, I get to go to the gym. I get to go lift.
Yes.
that sort of thing. So, I mean, whatever it is, I think you just have to find like what you love to do.
Yeah. And some people that might take years. Some people it might be the first thing you try.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I have to touch on this because I have another member of our community who was also a gymnast. She claimed she was not very good, and so she became a diver. And she said that divers are basically like full of washed up gymnasts, is what she said.
Yes. Yes.
I did not know this.
Yeah. No, because like I just didn't. I mean, gymnastics is really hard on your body, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's very demanding.
Yeah, it's really, really hard on your body. You have to be really, really strong. You have to be relatively lean to be able to even do half of that stuff. It's for like the physical elite basically, and you can only do it for a really short period of time. Diving, you can jump and then do all the things you learned in gymnastics. You're good. Like, it's fine. And you have to have some guts. Like, you have to be willing to try new things and do it. But
yeah, when you get older, gymnastics, you can't really do that at like a casual level. Like, it's not like running. There's no jog.
No, there's no jog in gymnastics.
No, that's it. You warm up and do some somersaults, and then you just like, you're into it, and it's wild.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So what was your journey like? You said that you started with HIIT training. How did you go from wherever you started HIIT training to powerlifting, and how long was that journey?
So I was really into the HIIT group classes for about a year and a half. And then my husband started doing them too. And then he was like, what if we join the athletic club because it'll be cheaper? And he really wanted to get back into lifting because that's what he liked doing. I had a lot of reservations about it because the last time we had joined the gym, I didn't know how to do anything and I felt stupid. And I would just like hang out on the treadmill the entire time.
Sure.
So I told him, okay, I will join this gym, but if I do, I'm hiring a personal trainer to show me how to do things because I don't know how to do anything and I feel stupid. So that's how I got connected with Jeremy. And he got me into the squat rack, I want to say by like the second or third session. And yeah, it just from there on, I was addicted. Like, I loved it. It was awesome. Yeah. So that was about a year and a half ago when I first started lifting with him.
So that's not very long at all. Your lifting journey has been very short.
Yeah.
How integral to your, to where your journey has Jeremy or like a great coach been?
I mean, 100%, I would not be lifting if it weren't for him.
Okay.
I mean, 110%. And I would not be powerlifting if it hadn't been for him. I didn't know what powerlifting was.
Sure.
He was like, I think maybe you should think about competing. I'm like, competing in what? He's like, powerlifting. I'm like, what's that?
Yeah. Most people think powerlifting is weightlifting, which is really confusing to talk to, like hobbyist lifters. I'm like, they're like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a weightlifter. And I'm like, whoa, you're a weightlifter? There's not very many weightlifters. Like, yeah, I really like to bench press and squat. And I'm like, okay, that's not weightlifting. So
no. Yeah. So I didn't know there was a difference between any of that at all. Like at all. I thought it was all the same thing. So when he first suggested it, I kind of like dove into researching it and then I started learning more about it. But yeah, I mean, I get asked if I'm like, oh, you're a bodybuilder. I'm like, no. And they're like, I'm a power lifter. And they're like, oh, but that's the same thing, right?
Right.
And I'm like, no, not even close.
That's like baseball and football. That's the same thing, right? There's a ball, so they must be the same sport.
Yeah. Not even
That's awesome. So I want to come back to a little bit about your competitive training, but first I want to talk about, so you start weightlifting or powerlifting, you start powerlifting, you find out that you love it. And you pretty quickly accelerate your passion into this. How do you balance, talk as much or little as you want about, I mean, you have a career and then you have children and you're a very committed, athlete. How do you maintain balance in all three of these?
Schedule and routine. So I fit my training in the morning. That's really for the most, I mean, especially before the quarantine, that was the only time I could do it. So up at 4 a.m. at the gym at 5 when it opens, get my training in, go to work, get my kids at daycare, come home, eat dinner, go to bed. So it's just, everything was very, very routine. up until COVID.
Yeah, that pretty much rocked everybody.
Yeah.
How old are your children?
So I have 7-year-old twins and a 9-year-old.
Yeah, and I feel like that's worth mentioning because I know a lot of people who have kids talk about they can't find time to work out because when my kids are older, they have a license, it's easier. But your kids are young.
Yeah. It was a lot harder. So I didn't really start actually working out until the twins were, I want to say, almost 4. And I would say it was probably would have been a little bit harder when they were younger because I was a little bit more sleep deprived. But yeah, I mean, early morning is really, that's it. Cause they need you the rest of the day. Like,
yeah.
I have to be there for dinner. I have to be there for after school activities. So, but the gym opens at 5. So get there at 5, just get it done.
That's it. And I think it's also important to talk about at least a little bit about your career. Like you don't have like a part-time job. I mean, you have a real career. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I'm a scientist. I worked in the lab for years and years and years. I just made the transition to more of a desk job, which was timely with everything going on. So now I'm able to work remotely a little bit more, which is nice. But yeah, no, and it's not even really a 9-to-5 job, especially with the lab work. I mean, I'd be in on the weekends, I'd be there late at night sometimes, or I'd have to come home and then come back. So yeah, I mean, it's a full-time job. I traveled a lot too. Yep. So yeah, and that's not fun because not every hotel has a great gym. So
yeah, I know that too well.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's so inspiring about someone like you is that there are a lot of reasons that you can't do this, that you shouldn't be able to do what you do. There's a whole stack of things, but people only see you from afar. So most people like at our gym or that you encounter today probably are going to, more than likely, they're going to come across you either in the gym where you're lifting or on Instagram seeing you lift. And they're like, oh, I wish I could do what she does, but I can't because of this. And in reality, you're already doing all those things and competing at a high level. So I have so much respect and just admiration for people like that. I really think people get sold short.
I think they sell themselves short. I think they can't do it. And then it's a matter of priority also.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're home for dinner and handling food. Do you follow any kind of specific crazy diets or, I know you do cook a lot though.
Yeah, I love to cook. I do not follow any crazy diets at all. I eat everything, but the majority, vegetables, protein. Yep. And then, I'm like this morning I made donuts for my kids because it's National Donut Day. I had 2 donuts. That's fine. But, 90% of my diet is real food. And that was a big thing for me too. I ate like crap for many years. So,
Was it tough to admit that to yourself?
It wasn't even necessarily admitting it. It was like an education. Okay. Because in my 20s, I thought you could eat crap and that just was normal. I just thought it was normal to eat, fast food or whatever. Like I didn't know how to cook. So I didn't know like what eating healthy was. I had no concept of it. So I didn't really become educated on that until like in my 30s. And especially with having kids, because you don't want them eating junk. Yeah. So as I was, kind of raising them, it was kind of a self-awareness learning process, I guess. So
30s are pretty cool. We get to really learn a lot.
Yeah, no, 30s are great. Like I didn't know anything when I was in my 20s.
I think that's the most valuable thing I've ever learned in my 30s was that I don't know anything. Yeah. Like you don't know shit. You think in your 20s, you're convinced you already know everything. You're like, well, I don't need to pay attention. I already have it figured out. And then I'm 30 and I'm like, wow, I didn't know anything at all.
Yep, exactly.
Awesome. So you're running this career. You have kids you're raising, you're lifting weights. Tell us a little bit about the competitive side. I feel like this is what everyone watching has got to know. Like, well, I wonder what is her deadlift? Does she deadlift more than I do? Does she what's this? So tell us a little bit about how you transitioned from like, I'm just lifting to competitor, and then tell us a little bit about your competition life.
Okay. So from the beginning, when I decided to powerlifting, I signed up for a meet like right away.
Oh, wow.
So Yeah, I found a beginners type of meet out in Chicago at this great gym out there. They run these beginners meets like a few times a year. So I signed up, and it was 3 months out. So Jeremy wrote me a 3-month schedule, or excuse me, program.
Yep.
And then I did the meet. In fact, it was actually a year ago, like 2 days ago or something, was my first meet.
Wow.
Yeah. So I did that, and that was a great experience. And then I immediately did another one like a month and a half later, which I wouldn't suggest doing. But for a beginner, when you're getting used to like, learning the rules and learning, how to compete, I think doing a lot of meets in the beginning is okay.
It's more experience than the numbers.
Yes, exactly. Like my numbers were horrible, and that's fine. It's totally fine that they were horrible, because I was just learning and I was new to the sport. But yeah, I did 4 meets last year, which was a lot. But it was great. And my progress going from my first meet to my last meet was so good. And yeah, I was supposed to have another meet in March, but obviously that got canceled and all that. So.
And then correct me if I'm wrong, you're actually pursuing a couple state records.
Well, that gets a little complicated because there's so many different federations.
Okay.
So for 2 of the federations that we have in Michigan, I would have already beat the deadlift record for that. For one of the other ones, I'm not there yet. So yeah, I mean, maybe eventually. It depends. Powerlifting is a little convoluted, whereas with weightlifting, you have one federation. Powerlifting, there's a bajillion.
Okay.
So.
Good to know. I know that you can also there's different types of meets. You can choose to do a full meet so that you bench, squat, and deadlift. Some people only do one of the lifts. Sometimes the meets are only a push-pull. There isn't even a squat at the meet.
Yeah.
So.
I've only done full meets.
Yeah. I think it's important for people to realize, though, that like you don't have to do all 3. I mean, for health perspective, I think it's good that you do. But if you're trying to be truly just a competitor, you can just deadlift if you want, or just squat.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, you have your specialists like Julius, the amazing bencher.
Yeah. So. Freak, man. Holy smokes, these people. What do you have to say to, I think it's important, especially to talk to women about powerlifting. I know that CrossFit catches flack already for like women looking too manly or whatever negative connotation, but powerlifting, I feel like, is such an extreme, it doesn't even get talked about. What can you shed light on for us and for females across the world about anything to do with just lifting weights?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is a big one because a lot of women, they don't want to look bulky, right?
Sure.
So
whatever that means.
Yeah, whatever that means. And for me, what was really important about powerlifting for me was that it took all the attention away from the aesthetics, and that having strength goals, it's just so much healthier.
Yeah.
It's just healthier for your mindset. But yeah, I mean, I think for a lot of women in powerlifting especially, they struggle with the fact that sometimes you have to put on weight. Sometimes you need to progress in your sport. And that's really, really tough as a woman. Like I've gained 10 pounds in a year. That's a lot of weight to gain in a year.
Yeah.
And I would be lying if I say I've been totally fine with it. It's a struggle. So I think a lot of women in powerlifting deal with that. And then, the typical, is she manly, blah, 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 I mean, whatever. I just kind of tune it out. So.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate that I think it's generally the opinions of men really that you hear. Or envious women at times. But like it's their own insecurities really. Like if a guy or a girl is concerned with how a guy or a girl looks, it's because they're not happy with how they look.
Yeah, exactly. And it'll get obnoxious sometimes, like at the gym, like, oh, you're squatting as much as me, I can't squat next to you. So, like stuff like that. It's just like, I know they're just trying to be funny, but it just, gets old after a while.
Yeah. I can understand that for sure. That's unfortunate. I'm a big believer in that, like strong people, that the word strong kind of transcends across other things. Like when you build physical strength, the work ethic and the determination and the commitment that requires, I think it not only builds physical strength, I think it builds emotional and mental strength. I think you're building stronger humans, and I think that's important.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think this has transcended it into other parts of my life a ton, like
That's
without a
great.
doubt.
That's great. I love that. So, what does the future look like for Katie?
Oh, that's a great question. So I've got a meet scheduled for October for powerlifting.
Okay.
We'll see where it goes. I don't know. So on the powerlifting side, I have that down the road. I am testing my squat and bench 1 rep maxes tomorrow, so I'm excited for that, just to kind of see where I'm at. And then I'm really enjoying weightlifting right now. I mean, that's been just kind of an awesome, fun thing to do. I mean, just to be brand new at something, and it's so technical, and I can kind of pick it apart, and like, I don't know, it's been so much fun. So I have no expectations whatsoever with that, and I think that's part of why I'm liking it. But we'll see where that goes to.
Awesome. Yeah, for those who don't know, Katie and I have been working together for about almost 2 months. With Olympic weightlifting, and it's been an awesome journey. I think it's such a cool thing to see people truly get out of their comfort zone. Even though it seems weird to call powerlifting your comfort zone, since it's been less than 2 years, like that's already a new thing for you. But you're just like, you know what? I feel confident here. I'm ready to try something that makes me uncomfortable, and I love that.
Yeah,
Awesome.
It's been a blast.
Good. Anything else? Anything you want to include, or final last words?
I think just a reminder to everyone, it's never too late. If you think you can't do something, just try it. Give it some time. You can really do anything that you put your heart and soul in, and just give it your all.
I love that. That's a great message. All right, Katie, thank you so much for taking time out of your day today, and I wish you the utmost luck on tomorrow's test maxes.
Thank you.
All right, have a great day.
Thanks, you too.